And once, if any of your clients want to turn on utilities, they have to wait until the contract has been executed. I know that's come up a few times. And when you get your executed contract, there's a little form that says utility activation form request. You have to click on that and you have to request it. There are 3 field service managers, FSMs, that manage these properties. Usually we don't know who it's going to be until we're assigned this property, and then we find out who it is. So I can't tell you how much or if there is a cost to turn utilities on. I know one company does not require any money to turn utilities on, but the other 2 do. And it's like, one of them's $150 and I think the other one's like $100. Can't tell you who it's going to be. It's just one of those things. And I don't know why they charge and why one doesn't. That's who they picked. I know that what we originally thought was the money was to de-winterize these properties and then re-winterize once inspections were done. But some of these properties haven't been winterized because it's so warm right now. They're not doing that as much. So I found out at my MCE class that it just depends on the company. Whoever charges, charges. If they don't, they don't.
I'm sorry, what does that mean, de-winterize?
Winterizing the property, that's when they put like this stuff in the toilets and the pipes to clean them out. So when it's cold, let's say we have a freeze, they don't have to worry about wrapping the pipes because there's no water in the pipes. It's really, really helpful during the winter. We had almost all of our properties were winterized, but the newest ones that we've had haven't been because it's so warm. There's no need for it. So, you just kind of get what you get. When you get to the house, it will be labeled if it's winterized or not. You'll know. Exactly. That's what it is. They just take all the water out pretty much. And then when you want to turn utilities on, they have to de-winterize it so that you can, because if there's an issue and you get utilities on, then you're responsible, or your client's responsible, not them. So make sure you get the utility activation form in so that they can approve it and get it on. That takes a few days, so that does cut into your 15-day option if you're an owner-occupant. It does take a few days, so make sure you do that first. We've had, I think, 2 now that have come up to me and called me the day of inspections, because they didn't call me to say they were doing inspections. They just showed up at the property, called me and said, we're trying to turn utilities on and they won't let us. Like, we can't get them on. And I said, well, did you send in the utility activation request? No. Okay, well, you have to do that because they have to know that you're turning utilities on. Because if there's an issue, for whatever reason, they found out the electrical panel's been stripped, they're going to tell you, hey, you can't turn the electricity on. You can turn the gas on, and the water, you just can't turn on the electricity. Or if the gas meter's missing, they're going to tell you, can't turn on the gas, you can turn everything else on. Whatever. So you have to get that form in first. So if your owner-occupant client finds out that there is an issue that they definitely don't want to handle and they don't want this property anymore because foundation's shot, it's going to cost $3,000 just to fix the house, just to make it livable, whatever. The best way to go about doing that, especially if they're getting financed, is to go to your lender and say, hey, they don't want the house, here's the inspection report, this is why. Have them write a loan denial letter and say, can't do it, send it into HUD, and that's how they go from there. Every time we've sent in a cancellation request, they always ask us for a lender letter. So I'm just telling you now, get that lender letter. If they're doing cash, it's a little bit different. You've got to send in the full inspection report. I think that's what they're requiring, and just say this is why we don't want it, because foundation's bad.
Can you not submit an adjustment to the contract? Let's say it's a FHA for a 203K, saying that the offer, we want to reduce it $3,000. Now we want to do a 203K with a $3,000 FHA repair.
I don't know on that. I know that they won't reduce the sales price at all for whatever reason, except for extreme circumstances. I know that you can switch financing to 203K, but I don't know for sure. I haven't had this come up, but I don't think that they'll let you do that. And that's just because we've had some issues lately trying to get financing switched. So I don't know if they'll let you do an escrow if they have not deemed an escrow. I don't know. These HUD appraisers that they send out originally are the ones that say if this property can go FHA, if it can go...
Yeah, because usually they know if there's a foundation issue. But if they didn't know about it, I do know that in the past they've considered it. But I don't know about...
We haven't had that come up. I know that a lot of these properties do have foundation problems simply because of the heat.
Right.
Or whatever reason. Some of these properties we get to and we go, oh wow, this is not going to be able to do it because it is just, split level. They come back and say, oh, it can go FHA, no repair escrow for the foundation. So I don't know about the foundation. I haven't seen anything about foundation in the whole year that we've worked on these. Okay. And we've had at least a dozen with foundation issues that you can just clearly see, and they've never mentioned it. So I don't know. That's a good question. If you find out, please let me know. So let me see. Let me talk more about submitting bids a little bit for your clients. So when you get a client, they decide they have to have this house, and you want to submit a bid. Great. You submit it online. It's very simple. It's all done online. You're not sending in earnest money. You're not sending in copies. You're not sending anything. You need their social security number or a tax ID number if they don't have a social, or a passport number if they don't have either of those. Otherwise, I don't know what else you can use. They've told me Texas driver's license, but we've had some issues with that too. So I know for a fact tax ID, social security number, or a passport number will work. I think we've tried a Visa. Don't know if that got through. But you'll need that information, their full name, full legal name, all of that kind of information, and it's all done online very easily. I'll show you a quick sample. I don't know what this property is. Submit an offer, and this is where you'll sign in, put your NAID number, do all that. The next page it will take you to. It'll just have the one-page form that you're going to submit to them. When you submit that bid, when you submit that bid, it takes you about 5 minutes if you don't have any issues. I know we had one that had a limited liability company, LLC. No. Self-directed IRA. And we had to call Home Telos and HUD Home Store and get them to walk us through how to put the name on there because it was, a trust company. Call Home Telos. Don't call them. Call Home Telos and get them to walk you through it. Because that came up to bite us later too. Because apparently you can't put sole proprietor in there, except Home Telos told us to put sole proprietor, and so then the IRA had an issue with it. We ended up getting it closed, but they're going to have to fix it after closing. So make sure you call Home Telos and they'll walk you through how to do that. But once you've submitted your bid, it's very simple. It's done. Print out the confirmation page just in case they ever come back and say we never got your bid. Well, you have your confirmation, and they can pull it up by that. It depends on what status you're in. If it's in the first 10 days of an insurable property, you won't have a response until the 10th day. Plain and simple. It's going to wait and collect all bids on the 10th day. Look at them. On the 11th day, you'll have a response if they send a response to you, because they may just accept someone else's bid, and then you never hear from them again and go, well, what happened? Log back into HUDhomestore.com, and it'll say CA, which means canceled, because they accepted someone else's bid. But generally speaking, if it's on the daily bid status, if you submit your bid Monday, you'll have a response Tuesday. I don't know what time. Just depends on what time you've submitted it, because I've had them come back at like 10 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. So it really just depends when you submit it, I guess. But they'll respond to you by email only. Make sure you have their correct email address in there when you register originally. They're not going to call you. They're going to email you with the response. Now, Home Telos is doing something new. We just had this come up this week. When they got their bid accepted, someone gave them a call the next day and said, "Hey, did you see that your bid was accepted?" And they said, "Well, yes, I've already sent it in." "Okay, well, do you need any help filling it in?" "No, I've already sent it in." "Okay, well, we just wanted to make sure that you got our email." They have not done this at all except for this week, so go figure. I don't know. I guess they're stepping up their training and helping, because I know that it is challenging to get these in. But they'll send you an email with a response saying either, "Congratulations, we've accepted your bid," or "We haven't accepted your bid, but here's a counter." The counter is a little bit different. It's not a traditional counter that we're used to with, "Oh, well, the seller said they'll take $15,000, and then you come back and say, "We'll do $12,500, and that's our final offer." That's not what this counter offer is. Their counter offer is going to say the minimum net to HUD is $15,000. You then have to go back and rework the number. You can't go back to your client and say, "They'll take $15,000. No, that's not what they're doing. So what I've written out is a little formula down here. The minimum net, so if it's $15,000, you divide it by 0.94. That's assuming you're getting a 6% commission, 3 to you, 3 to the listing broker. And that is your counter offer. If you have any seller contributions, so the most that they'll take is 3%, then it would be 0.91 if you have to add that in. And that's your counter offer. Don't go back to them with the minimum net, because then they're going to say, "Well, I submitted the bid at $14,999. Why don't they just take it for $1 less?" No. Make sure you go back with the right amount, because otherwise they're going to start looking at you and go, "Well, why do I owe you 3%? Why do I owe the other person 3%? Just save yourself a little bit of hassle and do this first. Now, something else really interesting about commission that I'll just bring up very quickly. You can't reduce the listing broker side. It's supposed to auto-populate 3%, or if it's a property that is hard to sell, and HUD deems that, not us, it's $12.50. For whatever reason, we've had a problem with that too. It's not auto-populating, so just FYI, if it's only 3%, just make sure it's 3%. If it's hard to sell, it's $12.50. You can alter your side. You just can't alter our side, and that's just because you're the bidder, the submitter, at least. So you can alter your side. So if you're doing it for a friend or, whatever the situation is, you can lower your commission. You just can't lower the listing broker, because HUD has already agreed to pay a maximum of 6%. It doesn't mean they have to pay 6%. It's really up to you.